Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we talk all things health and healing from a holistic perspective, and today will be no different. Today, I'm going to teach you how to look at your poo and understand what your poo is saying about you and your health. Okay. And I made videos like this before in the past, but because I think this is so important, and every time somebody walks up to me and asks me questions about their health, even when I'm working with somebody one-on-one, we're having a lot of conversations around people's poo. And so what I want to do is help you evaluate your poo, okay? And as I said before in the past, it is something that we could easily sort of, pacify, because poo is something that we really don't want to look at or talk about. But the easiest way to evaluate your health on a daily basis is by evaluating your poo, okay? Because poo comes in all shapes and sizes. You got stinkers, sinkers, floaters, pebbles, submarines, baby puke, death smelling. It ranges to no smell, okay? And so I think it's really important tool in our belt that we should be taking advantage of, okay? Because a lot of times what I explain to people is your health begins and ends in your gut, okay? So if your health begins and ends in your gut, you can't look inside of your gut, but what you can do is take a look at your poo, okay? And so it'll sort of lead some breadcrumbs in the direction that you need to lean into. Okay, whether that means you look at your poo that day, whether it showed up or didn't show up, that's an indication. Okay, did you get enough fiber in your diet? Did you get enough water? Did you eat healthy food that day? Okay, or if it did show up, if it showed up watery, why is it showing up watery? What did I eat today? Okay, same thing. If it shows up a different color, which is what we're going to talk about today, we're going to focus on the color. Okay, the color of your poo and what that means, okay? And so again, this isn't something that is typically asked when you go into your doctor to do a doctor's visit. Hey, tell me about your poo. What color is it? How does it smell? How often do you get them? And what is the shape and size of it? And, but I think it's important, okay? Again, this is going to empower you, okay? So this isn't for me to tell you how I evaluate people, but for how you can evaluate yourself, okay? And all of these things can be easily looked up, okay? That's the really cool thing. So we're gonna go through the different colors of your poo, just the colors, and that will tell you what you need to do different, okay? So the next time you're, in the bathroom, you could take a look back and kind of say, oh, well, it looks like I need to eat, less fried foods. Next time you look back, you may say, hey, you know what? I need to get some veggies in. Okay, so hugely important. All right, so quick video today. Number one, so when your stools are black, okay? Now, when your stools are black, this is a sign that there is a problem. Okay, so if you get stool that comes out black, this is a sign that there is a problem. Now look back at what you eat, and this is what I tell people, especially for people who have digestive issues, and most issues are digestive issues. Look at what you ate first, okay? Because I don't want you to, go into a state of an emergency. So if you've been eating a whole bunch of black something, then okay. But if you've been eating regular food, your regular daily food, okay, no pigments and things of that nature, and your stool is being consistently black and tarry and foul smelling, that is probably an indication that you have an internal bleed, okay, when it's black and tarry, okay? There's usually a bleed in the stomach, so possibly an ulcer or even somewhere in the upper intestine, okay? So black tarry stools, especially when they're foul smelling, you need to go to the doctor. Don't call Dr. Bobby, pass go. You need to go to the doctor, because if you got an internal bleed, this could be a big issue. Again, it could be polyps, it could be a number of things, okay? But black tarry stool, so go to the doctor, okay? Number 2, red. Okay, red could also be a sign of internal bleeding. But red is typically when your stools are red. Okay, now I'm gonna give you a caveat in a second. When your stools are red, it's typically a bleed in the lower intestine. Okay, a bleed in the lower intestine. So this is gonna be the polyps in the colon, or hemorrhoids, or anal fissures. But also the caveat is if you ate a lot of beets. Okay, so I've seen people who, watched my videos and checked their stools one day and saw that it was red and they were really concerned, went to the ER, but come to find out they just had a lot of beets earlier that day. So I want to make sure I mention that. Okay, so that, on the possibility that you're eating beets or having a beet juice, that this could happen to you. And I've also seen it happen with dragon fruit as well too, the red dragon fruit. Okay, so just be mindful of that. All right. Number 3, yellow. When your stool is yellow, this is a sign and indication that you have excess fat in your stool, especially if that stool is floating. Okay, so if you got a floater and the stool is slightly yellow, then you got excess fat in your stool. Okay, now I'm gonna come back to that, but it also could be giardiasis. Okay, and that is an infection in the intestines. All right, so it could be that, but most of the time it is excess fat in the stool, especially if the stool is floating. Okay, now why does that happen? That could happen due to the fact that you have an intolerance to gluten, which is causing those tight junctions to become loose and causing inflammation. And this is also going to lead to malabsorption of nutrients, that nutrient being fat in this case. And this could cause you to have that yellow stool that is now a floater, okay? And so in this case, you need to stop eating gluten. And so even if you don't have celiac disease, you still can have a sensitivity to gluten. You still can have an intolerance to gluten that you don't know about. You also, should consider the fact that most things that contain gluten, like breads, also are highly sprayed with pesticides like glyphosate. Okay, so I think that's important too. That causes a lot of damage to the intestines as well too. So with these people, I think it's really, really important that you make that shift. Okay, now the excess fat could be due to that, but it also could be due to the fact that you're not producing a sufficient amount of digestive enzymes. Now that could be because you're, chomping down your food without actually, chewing your food, okay? Because you have salivary amylase in your mouth that breaks down carbohydrates and things of that nature. And then those chunks go into your stomach and they don't properly digest. And let's say, for instance, you're not producing enough bile, or you're having some pancreas insufficiency. These are all things that contribute to you're not producing enough digestive enzymes. So, using some digestive enzymes could be very helpful in that case, okay? Number 4, when the stool is tan, okay? When you got a tan color stool, okay? When it has that sort of tannish orange like color to it, that is most likely due to a lack of bile, okay? Now, bile is what is produced by your liver and then goes to your gallbladder to be concentrated even more. But this is also what turns the stool brown, okay? So if you're having tan stools instead of brown stools, then what that's saying is that you're not producing enough bile, okay? So this could spell out a problem with the liver, the gallbladder, or the pancreas, okay? Or a combination of all 3 of those things, okay? It also could be contributed to alcoholic hepatitis too, which is the inflammation of the liver due to alcohol consumption, okay? You can have that acutely. You can also have that chronically as well too. We've seen people who, maybe were celebrating a birthday, overconsume alcohol, and they'll notice that their stools will not only be tannish in color, they'll sometimes even be watery as well too. So that could be the issue. And this means that you're probably going to have to first correct those issues. Okay. Many of the time it leads back to the diet. Okay, because the liver is most often assaulted by a few things: alcohol, fructose, so all of these fake sugars. Okay, and then an overall bad lifestyle in terms of like how you're living, sedentary lifestyle, processed foods, things of that nature. These things are going to damage the liver. Okay, and then everything becomes dysfunctional downstream from there. So the liver becomes dysfunctional, becomes fatty. Eventually, it creates these what are called, hepatic gallstones. Those hepatic or liver gallstones, and why they call them liver gallstones, because I do not know, because they begin in the liver. So they're really liver stones, okay? But they're mostly made of cholesterol, as opposed to the gallstones that are in the bladder. They have cholesterol in them, but they're mostly made of bile and calcium salts, okay? But starts in the liver, okay? So the problem started in the liver, created these liver stones. These liver stones then went through the duct into the gallbladder and created these, gallstones, okay? This is also gonna lead to issues with the pancreas downstream as well too. And all of this creates inflammation, okay, as well too. So you're gonna have to adjust the diet, but in the meantime, you may need some bile salts to help you, okay? So that's tan colored stool, okay? The next one is a white colored stool. When your stool is white, that means that there's no pigment in the stool. So the issue is probably a complete lack of bile. Whereas the tan is like, it doesn't get the complete brown, so it's just tan. As opposed to when it's white, that's little to no bile. And so white to clay colored, so we're gonna put it on a spectrum. White to clay colored, that means very little bile, okay? White, of course, means little to no, okay? And what that means is that you probably have a complete obstruction of bile being able to go into the intestines, okay? Because the bile is excreted into the small intestines, okay? So that white colored stool, that's a really, really big issue. You need to go to the doctor, okay? Hugely important, all right? And then the next color, which we are all familiar with, is brown. Brown is the color, the healthy color of what your stool should look like, okay? And sometimes it could be a brownish green, okay? If it's too much green in there, depending on what you ate. But sometimes if you're noticing that it's like a brownish green, it could be that your stomach acid is too low, okay? So your stomach acid isn't actually, digesting some of that, some of your food content down. And so that could be an indication that you have low stomach acid. Now, in this case, you want to get your stomach acid up, and stomach acid is hydrochloric acid, right? So you want to increase your stomach acid. One of the ways is consuming healthy salt, like Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt. And the reason why is because salt is NaCl, sodium chloride, all right? So that increases the chloride, all right? So that's gonna help. Consuming fermented vegetables and, foods, that's gonna be helpful as well too. Decreasing the amount of refined processed carbohydrates, breads, pastas, etc., is gonna be very helpful too. All right, so those are just a few of the colors that we've gone through. We went through black, we went through red, yellow, tan, white, and then the healthy color is brown. It should be a brown, okay? So next time you have the opportunity, and you're blessed with the opportunity to have a bowel movement, because that is getting rid of waste, okay? Getting rid of toxicity, then take the opportunity to evaluate yourself, because you are your first line of defense. You are your first doctor, okay? So until the next time, peace and blessings and Godspeed.